Hi all and welcome back. As you all know, the recent banners has been quite chaotic for many people who have their nationals coming up soon. As such, I wanted to share my thoughts on the format as a whole to maybe help some of you who are struggling in your prep. First up, we have Dark World. In no particular order, all of these are kind of just randomized. I put it in tier 2 for now, as Droll will likely see less play, which means that the deck is way better. I'm also predicting a board breaker format for the most part, which Dark World naturally does not care about. And of course, we have Branded. I'm actually going to do something quite controversial and put it in tier 1.5, mainly because everyone perceives it to be the best deck, which means it isn't the best deck because, as time has shown us, Branded gets hard countered by a lot of cards like Ash Blossom, Dimensional Barrier, Bow, Bestials, etc., which ultimately means that in reality it won't be tier 1. This being said, you should definitely prep for Branded, just not in a way that takes away from your other matchups. Next up is Dinos. I personally don't think this deck is too good for longer tournaments because of its inherent consistency issues. Its playstyle is also outdated and it might even run into Lancia this format. As Evenly and Kashira are still incredibly prevalent, I'm going to put this in bad tier 2. Bad tier 2 are decks that are tier 2 in representation, but are leagues behind the actual tier 2 decks. Dragon Link, I really do think that Bestial Control specifically has some merit this format. Extremely hard to pilot well, but with the right pilot it goes a long way, obviously. Solid high tier 2. Tritron is kind of interesting, one of the better going first decks that we have right now, but it kind of does the same thing as Dark World, except it can occasionally go second, which is, kind of a needed thing in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! I'll put it in bad tier 2 for now. I ironically do think the Dark World is slightly better. Runic Life Twin Sprite has basically seen no hits, still has the same-ish matchups as before, has only gotten stronger. From what I've seen of this deck, it's this deck that really struggles to clear Swiss, but thrives in top cuts. So it's potentially the best option for winning an event. As such, I'll put it in tier 1 for now. Exosisters is not a Yu-Gi-Oh deck you want to be playing. Garbage Rogue. Flu is very similar to Exo, which is the main reason why Exo is bad. I actually think it might be a decent format for Flu, so I'll put it in bad tier 2 for now. Runic for hire, the Dinkabubi special. This deck suffered no hits and in my opinion has only gotten stronger, similar to Runic Life Twin Spry. So I'm inclined to give it similar treatment, tier 1.5. I might change it a little bit later. Orcus Super Heavy is Copium. I am excited to see the potential Super Heavy brews though, but I'm going to put Orcus Super Heavy in Rogue. Gold Pride Punk has been popping up recently. It kind of just needed a balance or two to get good, which it has, admittedly, as well as Droll phasing out really helps the deck. Solid tier 2 just has some consistency and follow-up issues. Heroes will always somehow be relevant. It has a big enough following that it always sees play somewhere, but it's pretty bad, so Rogue. The success of Adagnister heavily depends on the development of the format. If people stop playing Nibiru or Kaijus, then obviously Adagnister suffers, so Rogue. Kashtira. Kashtira is dead surely, right? Surely. Mindhacker got banned, Arise R2-1. The deck is unplayable, right? Well, unfortunately not, and the deck can still end on Arise Art, which is the most threatening part of the deck. Still a very strong deck, albeit easier to beat because you could usually out the first Arise Art, you just lose to the second one. That being said, I still do think this deck is high tier 1. I'm going to do the same thing I did with Brand as I'm going to do with Labyrinth. And that is putting in tier 1.5. Again, people are perceiving that Labyrinth and Branded are the best decks, which means that they get heavily sided for, which in turn means that they see less success. Lab losing to Pev, Hobby Severas, the Lightning Storm, which went to 2, but Hobby Severas is there. evenly matched, but might be potentially like mained. Definitely doesn't help it. Mana Diem or Mana Dome is a deck that is going to take a while to get good. It's this hyper combo pile that still hasn't been completely figured out yet. I'd give it another month or two, but for now, tier 2. Renses, the deck that is forever tier 2, never better, never worse. I am, however, going to put it in now bad tier 2. I don't think it deserves to be anywhere else. Athmec took a consistency hit as well as the format potentially developing into one that accidentally counters it. Bestials and Bow running rampant is not exactly the greatest for the deck. That being said, I'm still going to put it in high tier 2. Because this is the only good deck right now that can run 70 non-engine while staying consistent. Malfi Sprite, the Dinkum Fam special. Honestly, this deck is still insane, and with a good pilot, it still performs really well. Definitely a meta contender tier 1.5. Maturia took a severe hit with Sacred Tree to 1. I doubt the deck is even playable still, but I'll be safe and put it in Rogue. Debut deck Novules is part pun intended. Garbage Rogue. Yeah. Draco Slayer is actually really interesting. And we'll have to really wait for the format to develop to properly place this. Mainly because of the existence of Super Heavy as an engine in it. Shout out to Diamond Dude Yukio, who's done most of the labbing for that. For now, I'll have to put it in high bad tier 2, because at the end of the day, it's still a pendulum deck, and pendulum decks inherently struggle with going second. Plunder, or Runic Plunder rather, is interesting. From what I've seen, it's super vulnerable to a hand trap on Jord, as well as evenly matched afterwards. The Runic engine carries similar to Naturio, so bad tier 2. Pele took a massive hit in Delicious Memory to 1. Going first, the deck doesn't really have a consistent way to get to Plump, which is basically essential to bridge into Noah. It might have some success as like a blind second deck. There's also be some brews like Darkwood Piri, but in my opinion, the Pele engine just brings down the Darkwood engine, so I'm gonna put this in Rogue. Rikus on Avalon, actually such a sleeper deck right now. I'm gonna be ballsy and put this in tier 1. I think that with a good pilot, this deck goes an insanely long way. It is unfortunately a very complex deck, so not for everyone, but if you do manage to get good with it, you will see really good results. Runic Sprite is dead, not because it's bad, but because there's no reason to play it over a multitude of other Sprite variants. Bad tier 2. Salad is copium as usual. Imperial will probably also phase back in, so I don't really see a reason why it's good. Yeah. Runic Stun will likely suffer as more back row head enters the format, like I've even seen Cosmic Cyclone being main decked, so I'm inclined to put it in Rogue. Yes, Sky Striker. Back-to-back toss sticks. I personally think this deck is being overhyped. I don't think it's that good at all. And this is coming from me, an ex-Sky Striker player. I've seen Engager 3, I've seen Engager 1, I've now seen Engager 2. I honestly don't think it makes that much of a difference, to be honest. I'm going to put in bad tier 2 to be safe, but it probably doesn't deserve to be any higher or lower. Pure Sprite or Toad Sprite is bad, very, very bad. Pure is kind of in the same vein. For whatever reason, there are still madmen who choose to play this deck and actually top. Don't ask me how, but yeah, Rogue. Especially now that Bell and Bestials have resurfaced. I'm gonna leave Sword Soul and Super Heavy for last. Traptrix is very interesting. I don't think the pure version of the deck is that great, and neither is Ethereon's. But there's this Rico brew with Traptrix that might have very good potential. I'm going to put that specific version of the deck into high tier 2, or well, not high tier 2, but high rogue. Yeah, I don't just think it deserves to go to bad tier 2. Actually, you know what? I might just put it in. Yeah. I think that's it. That deserves the spot, yeah. Specifically this Rika Traptrix build, I think it's really good. Bird Up is extremely outdated now. Feels really weird to say that about a 2022 deck, but the way we play the game has changed so much. Deck has just been power crept and it loses to too much. So I'm gonna put that in Rogue. Try Sprite is quite interesting, but it suffers from similar problems to Bird Up. Sprite carries though, so bad tier 2. Ah yes, the other debut deck, Vanquish Shoal. Cash money, right? I personally don't think this deck is too good. It heavily relies on floodgates to win the game. The cards are functioning the same as Subterra cards, don't at me. Just slightly adjusted to work in the modern metagame. Bad tier 2. Or, I'll put it in low tier 2. Swordsaw is never dead apparently, just always mid. I can't say much about the Denglong variants, but Swordsaw as it is right now cannot compete. Looking at older Denglong lists from Barsador and the OCG as well, it doesn't look like the deck will have much success with it. So I'm going to put in bad tier 2. And last but not least, Super Heavy Samurai, the deck everyone is wondering about. The pure version of this deck is dead, in my opinion. However, if we wait for the format to develop, there is a really good potential for Super Heavy as an engine. We've already seen lists like Super Heavy Dracoslayers and Super Heavy Orcust. I'm sure in due time we'll get a functioning Super Heavy Samurai deck, and because of that, I'll put it in bad tier 2, because the engine is just so promising. Is there anything I might want to change here? Yeah, I want to bump this down to here. This is definitely better than that. This is definitely better than that. Sky Striker should be like down here. You should be like over here. This seems about right. But yeah, I just want to quickly clarify on what I mean with bad tier 2. Doesn't mean that the decks in bad tier 2 are bad per se. There's just a very noticeable difference in what I put here in tier 2 versus what is in bad tier 2 and stuff like overall performance and win rates. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!